on here.
Okay.
Swing that one around.
I'm gonna put your legs down for just a minute, okay? If I need to move you back, we can. How's that look?
I'd like to be in the background too.
Can you smile?
Doorman.
Okay, can I stay by there?
Thank you. The mics seem to get smaller.
That's kinda cool though, huh? But who knows when there's a hidden one.
Okay, here comes
That's
mic
good.
NG.
Yeah, it's on. Do you hit the levels?
Yeah, it's good. I see.
Okay.
No, it's just put it on the table, Connor.
Yeah.
Sometimes we can
All right, let us know when everybody's ready.
I'm good. We're ready.
I'm
Ready?
good.
Ready?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Oh,
Sounds like Cam.
oh, we got
Oh, it is.
Barney coming in.
Yeah.
That's celebrity status.
Becomes a
big man now,
Right.
yeah.
We've been waiting for you.
It's all right.
You wanna move over? I don't know. Are you gonna, do you wanna be in it, Barney, or just?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Get in here. Turn your phone off.
That's all.
Okay.
All right, everybody. Well, first of all, thank you all for coming. We appreciate the attention that all of you are giving to this, what we believe is an extremely important issue for our community. On behalf of Cohn Clark, I'm Matt Clark. Do we need to get a list of everybody that's here with me today? Do you guys want that?
Do you want to do that after? You can still do that.
We can do that after, sure. So again, I'm Matt Clark with Cohn Clark. We've called this press conference today because my law firm, in coordination with everyone you see at this table, is promoting a petition on change.org. And the purpose of that petition is to increase the penalties for first-time drunk driving offenses. We're calling on our state leaders, specifically state leaders at the highest level, including Gavin Newsom, but maybe less specifically our local community leaders, including our leaders in Sacramento, who have the opportunity to introduce legislation to actually change the law. And what we're asking is that there be more significant penalties available for sentencing first-time drunk driving offenders. The reason for this is, as you all report on a regular basis and we talk about on a regular basis, drunk driving is a plague in California. It is a particular plague in our community. Last year alone, 37 people were killed on our county roads in drunk driving accidents. That makes us statistically one of the most dangerous places to drive a vehicle, period. You are more likely to be killed by a drunk driver in Kern County, California, than just about any other county in the country, certainly any other county in California. And that's a horrific statistic. It's one that's just embarrassment for our community, and it's something that we would like to see changed. As somebody who's been involved with Mothers Against Drunk Driving for, I don't know, Carla, 2 decades now,
Yes.
we've made every effort we can at the local level to raise awareness and advocate in the best ways that we can to prevent these horrific incidents. We've made the decision in light of some recent events that all of you have covered. You had a young couple killed just a little over a week ago in a terrible drunk driving accident. And let's not forget that there was also a passenger in that vehicle that's terribly injured. The driver of that vehicle, Lyft driver, terribly injured. And those folks were all doing the right thing. That should never have happened. And we here at my office were talking about it, and we decided, look, we need to do something more. And as a civil law firm, there's limitations on what we can do. I cannot change the law as a civil lawyer, but I can I could call upon those people at the state level who have the ability to change the law and the power to change the law to do so. And so we're encouraging people to go online and sign the change.org petition. We're going to present that, like I said, to our local and our state leaders and see if we can't get more significant punishment available for first-time DUI offenders. And we're here to answer your questions. And I want to point out, we here at our firm, in conjunction with some others, created the petition. But this is not about us. This is about the folks who are around me who are victims of this crime and who, even more so than me, want to see change. And so I'd encourage any questions you might have.
I have a quick question. You mentioned that you want to see a higher sentencing for first DUI, crashes and penalties. What does that look like exactly? What kind of sentencing would you hope to see in Kern County?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question. So right now, the sentencing for a first-time offense is anywhere from 2 days in jail to 6 months, okay? And
But they're not
maybe,
receiving it.
well, that's an issue, and we can let Carla talk about that, those sentences aren't always being handed down, okay? And that's a judicial level issue. But clearly, that's not acting as a deterrent to those people out there committing this crime. And so there needs to be a greater deterrent. It seems to me, based on my observation of being a lawyer in this community for nearly 25 years now, that too many people are getting on the road, they're drinking and driving, and they just feel as though there is no consequence. And so we need to increase the consequence, and that's what we're asking for. Specifics, I think that's up to people smarter than me. I think there are people at the state level who can analyze this issue and come up with a recommendation that can be passed on to our judicial officers as it relates to sentencing that will make a difference. I will just say one thing and then I'll stop talking. This petition went out just in the last 48, 72 hours or so, and we've started to get some signatures. We had a call come into our office yesterday, actually, from a gentleman in Santa Maria, a nice guy, called us, thanked us for supporting this petition. He's interested, even though he's not in Kern County, in seeing a similar change. And one of the things he mentioned was interlock devices, and I think most of us know what those are. That's the device that if you have been convicted of DUI, a court can order you to put this device in your car, where you have to blow into it and it has to register no alcohol in your system before you're able to operate a vehicle. It's called an ignition interlock device. MAD has been working at the state level now for 6 years to make that mandatory for a first offense. We still haven't gotten that. So that's just a small piece of the puzzle, but I personally believe that making a mandatory interlock, making an interlock device mandatory is a step in the right direction and may actually lead to some change.
Thank you.
Can we go down the line and start with the Farnsworth on why you're supporting the petition and what it means to you? Your microphones.
Me? Okay.
One second, Todd.
Well, our daughter Jordan, who's sitting right here, she was involved in a DUI crash December 1st, 2016. She was hit by a DUI driver. Obviously, DUI, that's why we're here. I think the main reason is that every time, and like was said, every time here in Bakersfield you hear of the news, you see the news, it refreshes that as a victim. I know that sounds kind of weird, but when you live with, when Jordan, she's at our house, we're her 24/7 care, and every time there's a bad crash or something happens, it seems like we're in that loop of people, and it comes back, and that's always our question. Well, what could have happened for this not to occur? You know, the tagline is, it's 100% preventable. Well, 100% it is, but just as you heard, these folks last week were doing it right. They called an Uber driver to get home safe, and they didn't make it home. And when we heard that crash, there were some people at our church that were related to the young lady that's in the hospital, so they called us, and we were talking with them. So that helps without a doubt. So why we're supporting it is that we believe that without a doubt something has to change. Bakersfield, Kern County that's our home. That's where we're staying. We're not going to leave the state, and it's just not safe to drive. 37 deaths last year. I think 700 and some odd injuries as a result to DUI drivers. I'm retired law enforcement, and I know those men and women out there are crushing it. They're making the arrests. They're doing the stops. I'm sure Carla has the numbers. We're probably over 800 DUI arrests just in our town.
Close to 4,000 countywide.
Countywide. And obviously there's a problem, but there's just not enough deterrent to stop that problem. And in today's world, there's so many ways to stop that, other than just saying, no, I'm not going to drive today, or I can call an Uber, I can call a taxi, I can call so many other options, but yet they feel that it's going to be okay. It's not going to happen to me until it does. And then it's life-changing. Our entire life has been changed because of this. And we're just blessed that we're here to take care of Boo and that she's here with us. No question about that. But would love to be able to not, this time next year or however many years it would take for something like this to take effect, that you see those numbers actually change. Because, you know, folk like Carla and the people that are fighting the battle, it seems like they're in the fight, but the numbers keep rising. So obviously what we're doing is helping. There's no question. I mean, the DUI checkpoints, all that stuff helps. It's all part of it, but this would be a really good component, I think, to take it to the next level.
My name is Carla Pearson, and I am a victim service advocate. I've been advocating for families for 23 years here in our county. How I started was my son Adam Pierce was, back in 2002, was killed by a habitual repeat offender. So I'm one of those ones that say, you know, back then there was actually a little bit more consequence than what we have now, what I'm seeing in the courts. And it still didn't deter the man that killed my son. And we need harsher sentences. We also have to change the mindset. And the mindset is basically, it's just a DUI. Do you know how many times I hear that? It's just DUI, Carla, when are you going to get over it? Well, the thing is I still don't know how to get over the loss of my son. Don't actually, haven't figured that out, right? And I'm hoping for people not having to go through and walk in my shoes to try to figure that out. And so I'm here with eyes on our system and seeing that there's a lot that can be done. It just is going to take a person to be strong enough to not consider it just a DUI. Families are affected by this for the rest of their life. I'm a changed person. I'm not the person that I was. I used to be a really happy-go-lucky person. Kathy, my friend that's sitting, she's on the board with MAD with me, and she knew me. We've grown up together. And I'm not the same person. And I can't get back to being that person. It has changed me. And I worry for our community. I really do. I worry for people because the impairment is vast here in our community, plus the speed. These are catastrophic crashes that are happening. And we need people that are bold enough and strong enough to say enough is enough. This is our community, these are our people, and we're supposed to be looking out for them. I applaud this law firm for taking this stance and helping get this message out. I think it is so important. So that's that bold step. That's that step that's out there. And we just need more people. And with you here getting the information out, I encourage people to please sign the petition. The people that we're trying to reach need to understand that this is a huge problem and we need to start addressing it. I've been doing this for 23 years. Sometimes I feel like I'm pounding my head against the wall. Now I feel like I'm throwing my body against the wall because things have gotten so laxed in our system. And we need people to stand up and start looking out for the people in this community. Public safety. Thank you. You don't have to.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, okay.
Her case is still.
Why don't we go ahead, they're gonna want everybody's
Oh,
name.
okay.
Yeah.
So.
My name is Kathy Tysinger. I actually I'm on the MAD board with Carla, and I was affected by drunk driving back in 2022. My cousin, Larry Hallam, was killed by a drunk driver at that point. And then since that time, my husband's brother was actually hit by, it was a drug-impaired driver. He's still actually okay, but he did suffer from a traumatic brain injury. So that's my story.
Chris Hagan, one of the partners at James
nope.
and Clark. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I'm happy to answer them. But otherwise, I think Matt kind of made the firm's position well known and explained exactly why it is that we're doing this.
How many signatures are we looking?
Is there a name for switching the microphone? So the answer to how many signatures are we trying to get, the answer is simple, as many as we can, right? We want every signature we could get. I would personally love to see 30,000 signatures. I realize that's a very lofty goal. That isn't just some number I've pulled out of a hat, by the way. I looked at our most recent election here in Kern County. It was a special election to seat someone in Vince Fong's old seat. Stan Ellis won that election. I looked at what he won by. He had approximately 30,000 votes, right? So if we could get 30,000 signatures, it allows me and the rest of the folks at this table to go to our elected officials and say, look, this was enough to get somebody elected to statewide office in our community, right? To become a representative for Bakersfield and parts of Kern County. And so I think that that's a goal. I'd love to achieve it. We're gonna need to get every person out there that sees this to not just sign the petition, but tell a friend to sign the petition, tell their family to sign the petition, share the links to the petition so that we can achieve that goal.
Have you had conversations with any elected officials already previously about wanting these kinds of changes to take place?
Well, this has been an ongoing, if you're asking about prior conversations, you know, between myself and people within this law firm, as well as Mothers Against Drunk Driving, it's a conversation that never stops. We've been having this conversation with our elected officials out of Sacramento for as long as I can recall. Have we had a conversation about this particular petition? No, I think that that's putting the cart before the horse. I think you got to get the signatures first, and then you go to your elected official and say, look, enough people are concerned and enough people are interested to act as a catalyst for change.
About how many signatures do you have so far?
So right now, and we haven't promoted this at all yet, but right now we're hovering right around 1,500, 2,000 signatures. You know, I would hope that after the fine work that all of you are going to do today, as well as some of the other efforts that we're making, you know, we're going to see exponential growth in the number of signatures.
Do you feel like given the amount of advocacy, education, you know, news coverage that our community has given to drunk driving over the last 2 decades, let's say, this is kind of a last resort, you feel, when it comes to seeing some kind of actual change?
I think calling it a last resort is fatalistic. I would never say that, okay? I think there's always other resorts. I think I caught in that question a hint of, you've done all of these things for all of these years, and these stories have been covered for all of these years. Is our community simply numb to this issue and it's not going to get any better? I don't believe that, okay? Number one, I think if you look at the number of DUI crashes, you look at the number of DUI-related deaths or injuries in our community, the numbers are relatively flat, which could be, you know, depending upon how you look at it, discouraging. But we all know that over the last decade, our community has seen tremendous growth, okay? So what I say is, had we not made all of these efforts over the last decade, you'd actually see the numbers increase stratospherically based on the growth within our community. So I do think it's making a difference, right? You know, there's a term that's in the media right now, stagflation, right? Like you're kind of stuck at this plateau. What I don't want to see, and what I know Mothers Against Drunk Driving doesn't want to see, is stagflation on the issue of drunk driving in our community, right? We don't want to just see it remain the same. We want to see it get better. And that's the purpose of the petition.
We want to save life.
Yeah.
We really do. I mean, that's the bottom line, is just saving life and saving from the great bodily injury that's out there. If you go and look at the stats, our stats are not good. We're up 33% through the nation from 2019, if my numbers are correct. That's horrific numbers. 1 in 3 people around you could be driving impaired when we're out on our roadway. And then you put speed with that as well. We need to slow it down and start thinking of our fellow neighbors when we're out there.
Now, our state legislators could, make these laws more strict and do what this petition is asking for, but is it up to the judges to actually enforce these?
Correct. It's a great question. Yeah. So, go back to Civics 101. The legislature passes a bill, governor signs the bill, that becomes law in the state. The way that criminal sentences are imposed, it's based on guidelines that are laid out by the state legislature, and then it's up to judicial officers, judges, to enforce those guidelines. And so, for example, okay, a judge could require an ignition interlock device now, could do it, but the statute says that they may do it, okay? One of the changes that might be made is that may is changed to shall, and it requires that the judicial officer make a defendant that's been convicted of driving under the influence install an ignition interlock device.
And the petition calls for Bonta, Tom Lackey, and the governor. Are those the only 3 elected officials you're trying to get, or is it any, like Grove, Baines, anybody that, is in our district that could make a difference?
It's anybody, it's those 3 individuals because those are our statewide leaders, okay? But any elected official that has a seat in Sacramento and has the power to change laws should be paying attention to this petition.
Another quick question for you. Why do you think this is the right time to file this petition? Since we've been seeing these numbers increase over years and it's been an issue in Kern County for a while, why was this the right time?
Yeah, it's a great question, and in some respects I feel guilty that we didn't do it before. Maybe we would have prevented a tragic accident, tragic death, tragic wreck. And so I don't know that I have a good explanation. I think that the reality is several of us got together and said enough is enough and let's try something else. And that's why we did it. I can't say that there was some major change or event that did it. I mean, clearly when you lose 2 people in a lift going home on a Saturday night doing the right thing, the thing that they should have been doing, making the right decision, that really resonated with me. Not to suggest that all of the other victims and all the victims I've represented over the years don't resonate with me, but it's an issue that's ripe in everyone's mind right now. And there's a saying, strike when the iron is hot, and so we're hoping right now the iron is hot.
Well, and you need to also, when you think about that was over a holiday there's a lot of media attention on to be safe. They know St. Patrick's Day is a very dangerous time, and the media is out there. So, I mean, that's a mindset. It's not just a DUI. People need to understand that it's very dangerous what they're doing when they take our roadways impaired.
Any other questions, folks? Thank you all very much for coming.
You.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I don't know, Farnsworth, are you guys comfortable if they want to chat with you a little bit more about
for sure.
the case?
Yeah.
I know you're limited, and obviously Matt.
We'll give everybody the URL. So I will warn you, the URL for the petition is long. It's just the way change.org does it. So we have it at the top of our firm's website at chainlaw.com, on all of our social media, and then George will be sure to provide you all with the URL. So I think you've got like a tiny URL link or something like that helps.
Is it just Kern County people that can sign that?
Anybody can sign it.
Okay.
Throughout the state.
Yeah.
Throughout the state, okay, because I think that's some confusion that lies.
Yep,
in that.
anybody can sign it. I mean, it's an issue that particularly plagues Kern County.
Right.
But anyone can sign it because if there's a
This will
change in the
help.
law, it's statewide.
It's going to help everybody in our
Totally.
Well, I mean, what I'm thinking of is like, hopefully it will make a huge impact in the long term, because like, with the advancement we have with these smart cars, why is there not a system set up before you get in the car and drive your car to check to see if you are impaired?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that.
Because
They've been talking about that for a long time.
So Matt has Holt, look that up, and they're working on it. But again, it's going to take the legislature through Washington DC to stand up to it and say, yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not that people aren't trying. People are trying. We just keep getting that roadblock.
Well, there's one other point I think needs to be made about that is, it's easy for us to go, well, technology is going to resolve the problem, okay? I thought when Uber and Lyft came around a decade ago, that was it, over. Technology solved the problem. And clearly that's not true. So this is a problem that involves human behavior.
Yep.
And again, just like if you're a little kid and you touch a hot stove and you get burned, you don't do it a second time, right? We need to make the stove a little hotter when it comes to a first-time DUI offense.